Once upon a time, in early 2002, a remake of the very first part of the already beloved Resident Evil series of the games appeared on ice. It turned out to be very cool and in all aspects surpassed both the original and all other parts of the series that came before it. And the leaders of Capcom apparently foresaw such a reaction from the players, because even before the release of the remake, they began to develop a prequel for it, visually similar to that remake as 2 drops of water, but the gameplay is significantly different. Naturally, Shinji Mikami was unable to touch this game as he was busy creating a remake, but this does not mean that everything is bad, terrible and disgusting. The game starts in the same way as Code Veronica, namely from the wall with the text, which is simultaneously voiced for those who have not had time to learn the read. In the very first scene, out of the corner of our eyes, we can notice the main villain, who it seemed that came from the Castlevania. This is not the only problem, but we will return to everyone else when we meet him in normal way. This Castlevanian, with the help of vaginal-like leeches coming out of holes of the body, provokes a train derailment in order to... I never understood why. His main motivation is to revenge to Spencer and Ashford for the killing him, but nowhere was, it's either two or any company were in this train. The trains would not crash, the dudes from the stars would not have flown there. This helicopter I also do not understand who and why shut down, and would not have prevented the villain of the Castlevania from fooling the castle plans. Near the train wreck, the heroes found information about the prisoners who escaped, and a Tellman is walking around somewhere in the forest.
Alright everyone, let's separate and survey the area. Our friend is brutal and ruthless.
That is why you had to take an 80-year-old girl with you, who is just fucking smart. No, seriously, judging by the appearance of Rebecca, the recoil from the pistol should fucking break her arm. And you brought her to some incomprehensible forest for a military operation. Is this normal at all? After the end of the first cutscene and in future, every time we enter the game, we will observe a very slowly written text which cannot be missed. In the original game on the GameCube, this could still be understood. This text could replace the loading, but in the modern remaster, why there is no skip this? When the game started, I felt the new control, which is many times better than it was in original games. I played the remake on the first game for a long time, so I already managed to forget it completely. Now you do not need to spin like the fat man, there is hamburger behind him, but just tilt the stick in the direction you need it and the characters will go in this direction. Also, this control also had critical disadvantages, which we will get to. It is still much better than it was before, and for such isometric view, perhaps even the best control possible.
This is Officer Chambers from STARS Bravo team. Please identify yourself.
When you are in an exploded area and you think that somewhere there is your suspect or anyone who could potentially be armed, it does not hurt to keep your weapon at the ready. While shooting, she automatically aims at the enemy, so you do not need to slowly and long turn the camera. But this auto-aim has downsides when it constantly aiming at someone in the distance, at time when another zombie is already very close to her. Pretty soon I discovered the first flaw in the location control that got on my nerves quite often. In order to pick up any objects, you need to run 30 circles around it until Rebecca in suitable position from which you can still pick up a fucking object. And if this object slides next to door, then this is fuck your mother. It also doesn't help to change the camera angles, which force the control to work in other direction, and you will like run a full back and forth trying to run in right direction. Once again, playing the next part of Resident Evil, I cannot stop looking at the level of graphics that Capcom managed to get in 2002. If I didn't know when and what platform this game came out, I could easily believe that they created it for the third PlayStation, for example, and not for the GameCube. This is a remaster, of course, but it differs from the original only in resolution, frame rate and widescreen. In the rest, the GameCube is very young to pull out.
Wait, you're under arrest.
It is desirable to say such things when a weapon in your hands.
Edward, are you alright? What happened?
I just piked through the train window. What the fuck is okay? A member of the military organization does not have a knife with which she could fight off the attackers. This man's tattoo is set of some incomprehensible stripes that should symbolize who know what. Why did you jump in the direction in which the slug flew? Until now, the game has begun to expect a copy of the remake of the first Resident Evil ever since, but by cooperating with this dude, we have the opportunity to switch to him at any time. Due to this, we can carry more things with us, a partner can help us shooting opponents, and also in solving some puzzle that can only be solved together. The partner's actions can be customized, tell him to shoot or not shoot, to stand still or follow me, or even in stupid artificial intelligence stands in front of you and prevents you from passing, you can just use the right stick to push him aside. The man has more health, but Rebecca can mix health and chemicals. The developers just put the mechanics from head to toe, and I don't even know what you can fault with it. Whether you look, it works as it should everywhere and never made too strange any partner. In addition to having a playable partner, we also have the ability that dream about the previous part of the series, namely the ability to drop items from the inventory. I have no idea why the developers only thought of this in this game. These items are marked on the map inside, so you won't lose them, and even if you throw away some plot item, you can find a signature of you still need it, and I don't think that the game will let you go without him. And since such a convenient feature appeared in the game, the developers decided that now we do not need a chest with the teleporting items, and therefore cut it out of the game completely. This, in my opinion, is a big drawback, because it is much more convenient to go to nearest chest and get everything you need from it, and not run around the map for one item and then to the other end of the map after another.
If you find anything, give me a call.
Why would she call you if you follow her? Sometimes tells me that such a rainy weather, on a shaking train being completely wet, touching a sparkling wire even by isolated part, even with gloves, is a very bad idea. Rebecca fell inside the foot with her back down, from which she did not receive any injuries, but the second dude, even fell down, is afraid to jump there. I call him the second dude because this can be considered his entire biography. Yeah, there will be a bit of his backstory, but so little that it's very difficult for me to remember him. Of course, this is far from the same cringe as it was in Steve's Code Veronica, but due to that cringe, I at least remember him. Right here, just the dude with a tasteless tattoo. The knife is too big for the fit in an elevator shaft. On the other hand, a bouquet of the grass, which looks much more vulnerable than the knife, fits perfectly. Since this guy looks some kind of yakuza, I assume that this actually not a knife but a katana, otherwise I don't know how to explain why the hell it doesn't fit there. This suitcase is opened with two keys, because the owner of the knife is not able to open the leather suitcase in any way. If you have an item that needs to interact with the door, you need to do it manually through the inventory. If you just press an action to the door, the game will tell you that you cannot interact with it. Also, they often run next to each other, besides stay after me. They will not be generous with other dialogues to somehow diversify running around the location. If you run away from your partner, forgetting to call him with you, you won't be able to call him for another room, despite the fact that these both have walkie-talkies, and I understand why they did this way. After all, enemies can walk in the room and while it's running, they will have time to beat him, but it could be done, for example, so that at least there are no obstacles between us. The partner could automatically run to us, and if they run to the room with the enemy, he could say on the radio that I can go further, I need help. If you combine an empty bottle with a canister of gasoline, you can get a Molotov cocktail. And at what it is possible to init on a certain gleam-wearing bottle. All those pipes of bottles that are part of decoration cannot be picked up, because apparently only bottles from a certain wine are suitable for a cocktail, the remains of which, when interacting with gasoline, create a burning loot case, which burns better. Well, where they find the fabric that sticks of the neck to the cocktail will remain mystery. It would be better if they made Rebecca tear off the piece of the sweater every time, and when it ends, she would switch to pants, but there's just my fat fantasies. Now I need to use the grappling hook to climb into the window of the roof. The only problem is the design of the local bed drop is such that I run past this window 3 times without realizing that this is a window. These bulbs, for some reason, cannot be destroyed with a Molotov cocktail. After Code Veronica, I can't help but admire the amount of animations in the background. In Veronica, everything always stood still, just like a picture. Right there, just beautiful. When these parasites climbed to Rebecca, did not cause any damage to her and quickly ran away from a couple of shots. The same 2 soldiers with powerful armor could not waste it even a second.
The train will either derail or crash. I gotta stop this thing.
And so it's not a test, this is the only train on the planet that does not have stop crane in every car for such a similar case. And in order to stop it, you need to manipulate both ends of the same time, because the manufacturers of this train really didn't want it to stop.
Edward! No.
How was this Edward able to get this car through the closed doors? Mouse cursor. Why? Why the hell and for whom? At any moment of the game on the screen you can twist the mouse cursor. And what was the point of stopping it, if anyway it was able to stop on its own by the help of distraction, that did not inflict any damage of the heroes who kissed every wall and ceiling on this train at this moment. The next location we have after the train is Estate, which is very much copy of the state of the first Resident Evil, because when you develop two games at the same time, why not steal some things from the others of the development a little move faster? If my partner does not have any weapon selected, he will never think of picking up on his own. In order for this mechanism to work, you need to put two identical figures on it, which will still need to be assembled in parts. And the heroes for some reason could not think of just putting pressure on these balls with their hands in order to produce the same result as two figures. Also, the map has become quite convenient, it still does not indicate items that can be interacted with. Here in the Estate is not deadly yet, in it you will be quite a long time and it is easy to remember, but in the following locations, which will larger and less intuitive, it will be hard to remember where and on what floor is the thing I need to interact with which I found some object. The same with the doors. All closed doors are marked in red, and even when you find a key for it, it will not change its color, and therefore you need to run to each closed door and check which one you just picked the key for. By picking up objects you can immediately combine them with other objects if possible, but only when you have a free space for the item, despite the fact that this will not occupy it. When your inventory is full, you will be told that you cannot pick it up, but at the same time I can unite the grass at any time, even where there's no place for it. Why the hell is that? This fucking asshole that you can hit never cease to pleasure in the next Resident Evil. When a huge cockroach appears in front of you with not the most peaceful intentions, the best thing to do in this situation is stand still and watch him grab you. And while Rebecca is in the pose of a cockroach, my man will be able to shoot at him even with a grenade launcher, hitting right on her, which she will completely shit on. Also, I can safely run out of the location and run around the mix, looking for ammo, during which the cockroach will crawl around the room with Rebecca and wait until this guy comes back and finish him. It's also bad in the inventory when you pick up the item and you don't have a place for it, you can't immediately change it to one of the items in the inventory, so that it automatically lays out while the one I need takes its place. You need to do it everything by hand, first laying out take and then take the second. Characters can only pull objects forward, and therefore when they rest against the wall and it would seem take it and pull it off yourself, they will tell me to go fuck myself, or be more precise, to the next room, so that the positions of these objects are set to factory settings, and I was able to pull it other way. Also, AI has no idea how to climb things. I randomly stumbled upon the selections of outfit for Rebecca, and what I would like to say: athletic shorts and a top, this is the most appropriate outfit for a military girl on a military mission, and I'm not even joking now, I'm jerking now. How does this guy have a lighter in his inventory and does not have cigarettes? Cool. So, when I was supposed to react to this? A rather simple puzzle with a clock made me feel like a complete imbecile, simply because I did not find a note which time to be set was written, and I have no idea where to look for it. And therefore, this riddle does not use the metal abilities, but the ability to suck each room in search of one small piece of paper. Before I realized I needed a piece of paper, I even fucked up so much that I found another watch, took a picture of the time that is shown on them, and trying to set the same on that watch. And when it did not work, I ran to look for some more clocks. And how do you like waste your wasted time? Write in the comments. When both characters are injured, they run as if they ate the tacos in the unveiled place, and now both of them have a very stout tummy and they urgently need to find some kind of saddle in the hole. When I solved the puzzle with the clock, they showed me two doors, which now opened. The same with the riddle with the tables, because from the image of the door I should immediately understand where the hell it is. And by the way, these cutscenes with opening doors are not skippable, and if you saved before it, then you will have to receive them again. Another problem with such controls in my attempt to move some small feature objects with some place and not to pass it, bitch, but finally rest against it. By the way, this chess game is fucked up. It is so simple that I began to think of strategies how and what to do, up to killing all the pieces on the board, naturally black, but it turned out that it was enough just to move one piece of the plate, in which it is small board. I won't bet a sim simply because I am blind dumbass, I didn't notice notice it. In the first Resident Evil there was rather short notes where you didn't even notice how to read, which was convenient and didn't really distract you from the game itself. Right there, if you stick together all notes, you might get a book that will compete with George Martin. No matter how much I praise the game's cool visuals, my tongue can turn around to say the same thing about lip sync.
The weapon utilizing the T-virus has almost been completed. Our only remaining task is to acquire combat data.
Well, you almost got it. Well done, Albert. Good boy. Another confirmation that an 80-year-old girl who cannot pull her 40-kilogram weight is a bad candidate for a military company. But she can hang in this state for so long that the second man will have to time to run around the basement by shooting 100 monkeys before saving her. By the way, speaking of monkeys, fuck those fucking hairy bastards, I don't have anything else to say about them. What were the creators trying to convey with this word? How did Rebecca manage to get the walkie-talkie out of her ass while hanging off the bar with the ball hands? Saved by the very last second cliché.
Billy, I just need to know. I need to know the truth. Did you kill 23 people? I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know the truth.
I really knocked out the first one, knocked the second one for fun, and then the third, fourth, you understand the pattern. By the way, this is the only cutscene in the entire game that tells the backstory of the protagonist, and I have a couple of questions for it. This man says that their leaders incorrectly determined the place where attacked and there was peaceful village.
But we couldn't just go back home empty-handed, oh no. Our leader ordered us to attack an innocent village.
What? The fucking nonsense. You didn't find the one you were hunting, so you decided to shoot the hell out of those caught UI. How stupid is their commander there, and what purpose does this pursue? Why? Do they have oil under the village growing on trees or what? Why the fuck was it attack them? I didn't even see such a stupid line in the script even in the original first Resident Evil. And there the script was written by Japanese in English which they don't know. But render over its possibility to make it dumber.
So did you execute those innocent people?
Forget about it. Doesn't matter anymore. That was then, this is now. Besides, you said you wouldn't judge me.
Remember, children, if you were promised that they would not judge you, that even if you tell this person how you sniffed cocaine from the dead children, whom you previously raped while alive, this person should in no case condemn you, otherwise he will be an asshole. All Rebecca needs here is to reach out the key from here. Instead, she decided to open the cages that this thing could attack her. Where does he read all this text that now is subtitles, if they have the same text written on the tablet, which is completely different from what is written in subtitles. Playing the piano, opening the secret door cliché. And how convenient that almost every Resident Evil has at least one character who can play the piano. Device that clamps the objects I need to does not handle, and therefore I cannot get in from here. And here is the question. It is hard for you to unscrew this handle from neighbor advice. Can you just get the bitch and start pushing the fucking box? Judging by the sound of that self-made falling, it weighs 40 kilograms, but small, whatever is Rebecca, will put it in her pocket and run as nothing had happened. The door is closed on the other side and we cannot climb on the fence. In order to open the door to the church, you need to step on the platform and stand on the other remains open. So only the characters can go inside, because none of them thought to hold the door that it was not closed, so that second character could run around and enter with me. Why do I pay so much attention to this? Because this flying bastard would be a little easier to kill if someone helped me with this, because during the battle with him, the bats fly around him, on which the hero automatically aims, and therefore hit the main bat very difficult. And even if I already aim at him with my hands, because of incomprehensible perspective and the fact that he was moving, I constantly shot past him. Shooting all the little ones is also not an option, because after that new assistance will instantly arrive. When a hero grabs a licensed zombie, he can crush his head with his foot. Why does the character himself not have such a function, in sense of pressing a button so that he does it? Sometimes it happens that shooting a shotgun in head at close range does not turn a head into a liquid sea or a bullshit, because a shotgun is such a weak weapon. In some loading elevators both characters are visible, and in some the elevators ride by itself. To get into that room you need to use the cat hook below it, and since at first I didn't understand that was was necessary to do this, because I never paid attention to the places and hook and mark on the map, I tried to shoot through the glass with a weapon, which is grass that even hit a bullet arrival animated reacted. Also, in theory, it should have at least cracked a little. Sneaking up behind Rebecca, this monster, instead of starting her up, decided to just stand and wait for her attention to put him. This thing fell on the floor just by time. It's not a mystery, you don't need to think about anything, just take it and pick it back. I am a bit confused about in-game geography. We left on this funicular on what it is far somewhere ahead, but from there, from that new location, you can pretty quickly walk to the crash of the side of the train, which was even further away from that location, which we left on funicular. How it works?
Don't worry, I'll catch up with you.
Rebecca... All right. Just be careful.
I never saw him again.
Rebecca turned into a Seraph second, but it doesn't matter. The important thing that adult trained warrior could not cope with everything that a little girl could handle with first mission. I now need to interact with the elevator with the key so that I can go up, but when I try to use the key, it tells me that I do not need it used now. This is because I need to interact with not elevator itself, but with the button located in the left, which it turns out is separate objects for indication, which I did not know, and so that I had broken something in the game, because of which I rebooted, and only after a while, just for the sake of interest having already dissipated, I decided to try to interact with this button. Why not make it all one common? And given that the big platform on which one girl stopped working, who now understand why, call the questions, but how could that guy get out here? Why can't she do some somersaults in gameplay? This would be a very useful mechanic in boss fight. Entering this elevator, I heard some kind of buzz which I thought symbolized the movement. After standing like that for a while, the thought came to me that somehow I go into a long time. And indeed, this is the only elevator in the game in which you first need to select the floor and only then will go. Never try to aim with sticks in this game. Just fuck it. Let Rebecca shoot where she wants to. These sticks turn the weapons where you move the stick, but which were they designed to. Plus, with the isometric view, it's not always clear where you need to move the stick, so that the weapon turns in the right direction, and if you turn the clearly to right, but slightly in an angle, that's all, it shoots at the floor. Instead of looking for a battery for loader to climb up, you can just climb on its own roof and pick up a cart with your hands. This, in my opinion, is a quintessence of all possible shit that only exists in our planet. Why the hell can't she just jump over this shit? The water level in this platform will be up to the knees. What is stopping you from fooling yourself with lowering the water level and just passing through a little wet? Only recently I defeated one boss, after which I went through several rooms picking up all sorts of items and go further. I didn't meet a safe machine anyway along the way. I reached a last room on the floor, where the save was already nearby. Well, I went there without suspecting anything, and suddenly another boss fight happened, which I didn't expect at all, during which I was killed, thereby wasting minutes, probably 30 of my time that I passed without saving. And all this could have been avoided if the fucking developers had put a fucking typewriter somewhere along the way that I could save myself. Or the fucking developers of the remaster have shoot fucking autosaves into the game at least before the boss battles. How the hell could I know that there was a boss fight there and I head back to the last typewriter and saved just in front of the entrance this door? Do you know why they kill me if I had first aid kit and I saw the Rebecca health was low? Because the game did not allow me to exchange items and be treated at the time when a character performs some kind of animation. Fuck how honest it is when the boss fucks you every second and every second you perform some kind of animation.
10 years ago, Spencer had me assassinated.
The villain wouldn't be complete if he didn't start telling this whole backstory to some left-white dude.
Who activated the self-destruct system?
Because where is a Resident Evil without self-destruct system? But no matter how the previous boss fight knocked me out, in itself it and this final one, in comparison with the fucking Veronica, are pretty simple. I died maximum once in each battle, except for some clumsy ones, but it is like exception. Next we were given instructions on how to turn the valves in order to open the roof, which we were given, I still didn't understand why, because after that artificial intelligence will take Rebecca, which will automatically drive her through all these valves, and I just need to take a monster away from her so that he does not interfere with her. Pretty fast I got to the massacre of the final boss in a very slow-mo frame of the bullet flying from revolver, which I could not find in the game. Self-destruction, self-destructed dimension, this man name whom I still don't remember somehow able to remove the handcuffs, Rebecca went to the beginning of first Resident Evil, and this man went to slowly die from those barricades that swallowed in the sewer water. The camera switched to the mansion, which was blocked by a spider with a web butterfly. I still don't understand what the butterfly web was for, but it doesn't matter because the game ended successfully. I have heard the game criticized many things, such as bad main villain, an empty partner, a lot of copied textures and locations from the remake of the first Resident Evil, and all of this really there. But despite this, it was no less pleasant to play it than in the remake of the first game. And while it would be nicer to play newer remake of these games in style of second Resident Evil, they still play wonderful even in form of every platform imaginable. And since you have already imagined this, you can at the same time imagine how you subscribe to the channel as it not miss the video, like this and repost it to all your friends who have not yet turned into zombies.